Translate this and you'll be a director. The millionaire laughed, but the waitress silenced him when arrogance meets hidden talent. The world witnesses a story it never forgets. In a luxury restaurant filled with wealthy businessmen, a waitress named Lena quietly served tables. Unnoticed, underestimated, and unappreciated. But one night, a millionaire filmmaker named Edward Grant mocked her, holding a foreign script in his hand. With a smirk, he said, "If you can translate this, I'll make you my next film director." The whole restaurant burst into laughter. What Edward didn't know was that Lena wasn't just a waitress. She was a linguistics graduate who once dreamed of working in cinema. The next few minutes turned the laughter into silence and Edward's arrogance into awe. What happened that night changed both of their lives forever. It was Friday night at the Golden Leaf, the most elegant restaurant in the city. Business tycoons, film stars, and powerful influencers filled the room. Among the servers hustling through the crowd was Lena, a quiet, polite waitress who always smiled despite the exhaustion behind her eyes. She worked double shifts to pay for her mother's treatment, and had given up her dream of becoming a screenwriter years ago. Yet, every time she saw a film star or director in the restaurant, something inside her reignited, a tiny spark of what she used to dream of. That evening, a table of wealthy filmmakers occupied the center of the restaurant. Leading them was Edward Grant, a millionaire director known for his arrogance and quick temper. He was complaining loudly about his new script. A foreign film written in an ancient European language. "This language is impossible," Edward barked. "I need a genius translator." "But I guess geniuses don't work in restaurants," his friends laughed. Lena, who was serving them wine, gently said, "Sir, if you don't mind, may I take a look at it?" The men burst into laughter. Edward smirked. "Oh really? You think you can translate this?" He pushed the paper toward her. "Fine, translate this first page, and if you're right, I'll make you the next film director." The room went silent. Lena's heart pounded, but not from fear. She glanced at the script, her eyes scanning each word carefully. The symbols, the grammar, the hidden idioms, she recognized them. She had studied this language for years during her university days, with calm confidence. She began translating, her voice clear and graceful. Within minutes, she recited a poetic, flawless translation, capturing not just the words but the emotion behind them. When she finished, the table was silent. Edward's smirk had vanished. Edward leaned forward, disbelief painted across his face. How did you do that?" Lena smiled softly. "I majored in comparative linguistics. I used to dream of working in cinema, but life had other plans." For the first time, Edward was speechless. He grabbed another page, testing her again, this time a harder passage filled with cultural metaphors. Lena translated it effortlessly, adding context that even the original author would have admired. Other guests began to gather around, curious about the commotion. Phones recorded as the arrogant director was humbled by the restaurant waitress. Edward's tone softened. "You're not just translating words. You're understanding the story," Lena replied. "That's what storytelling really is, sir. You don't just read, you feel." The room applauded. Edward's pride was slowly replaced by admiration. He offered her a seat at the table, but she politely declined. "I still have tables to serve," she said with a humble smile. That night, Edward couldn't stop thinking about her. The translation had depth, rhythm, and emotion his own team couldn't achieve. By morning, he called the restaurant owner and asked for her contact. A week later, Lena received an unexpected call from Edward's office. "Mr. Grant would like to see you." She hesitated, unsure if it was real. When she arrived at his studio, Edward greeted her with a completely different tone. No arrogance, no laughter, just respect. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I judged you by your uniform, not your mind." He handed her the same script, but this time her name was written on the cover page as translation and cultural consultant. Lena Harper. Lena's eyes welled up. She accepted the offer, and within weeks, her input reshaped the entire script. The film later became an international success, earning awards for its authenticity and emotional depth. During the premiere, when journalists asked Edward how he found such a brilliant translator, he smiled and said, "She found me while serving coffee." Lena was later offered a directing position for his next film. The same woman who once struggled to pay bills now stood in front of cameras, directing scenes for millions to watch. Sometimes, life tests your patience, not to break you, but to prepare you for the moment you'll shine. If this story inspired you, remember, never let anyone define your worth by what uniform you wear. Talent and passion can bloom anywhere. Like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories of people who rise when the world least expects it.